One of the things that I've been telling myself is I'm allowed to outgrow versions of myself that no longer fit. Hello and welcome back. Question: have you ever loved a character? And when I say character, an actor in a movie so much. Like you enjoyed everything about that movie or an episode. And somehow, every time now you hear the name, you still feel that warmth that you felt when they were acting that, because you identified with everything that they were talking about or the role that they played. And then here comes another movie or another episode, and they are completely different. Because that's what I've been going through. And you're like, I'm not going to watch that, because everything that they're representing now does not fit on the narrative, which is actually an emotional narrative that I had created of them. And I feel like, it's like you're going through rejection, and it's somebody that they do not even know they exist. You exist. It's bizarre, but it happens, and it's something that actually I figured out that was happening for me, because there's something I've been quite hesitant to watch. This is the beauty of, when we're healing and when we are learning and unlearning, and actually, him giving us language on what we're going through, and knowing that we have a God who is rooting for us, God that is like, yeah, come on, go for this, heal, become whole. This is what I paid for. And I just took that in my writing. I was like, this is how I feel about this. And I know it was him who prompted me to ask these questions. And I was like, what is it in me? Because it has nothing to do with that actor. Like, nothing. It's all to do with me. I'm the one who's projecting, not them. And I was just, having that conversation with God, and he brought something, that was quite, obviously it was, the things that comes up are uncomfortable, but they need to be, because those moments, it opens doorways for you to be able to actually deal with what needs to be dealt with. And it was to do with cognitive dissonance, which was quite interesting, because obviously the last few months, it has been a journey. Even starting this YouTube, for me, it was dealing with fear, something that I don't want to do because I'm afraid of. What are the things that you're afraid of that you don't want to do that? Anyway, coming back to my character in this movie or episode or whatever, because I'm sure I'm not the only one who've gone through this. When somebody, because this dissonance is when somebody acts outside the role that you've created for them, or in your mind, anything that, now anything outside the box that you've already created for them, you become uncomfortable with that. And now, because that is the friction, what I was dealing with, whether I'm done dealing with that or not, it's that friction of who they were, or what I've created of them to be, and what they, the next step or the next character they've stepped into. And, this is how we often treat people. And I think it's a good place to pause and look into our lives and just think of, what are these people that maybe we even start on ourselves? What am I supposed to be stepping into? And I'm so scared of taking on that role, taking on that character, because everything I've known about myself, who I am, it's familiar grounds. And the next chapter of me requires, for me, Anne, that is completely different, that emotionally responds very different to this role. How I talk, how I dress, how I meditate, how I catch my thoughts, knowing that actually this mindset does not fit on the new role. And it can be a little bit overwhelming, because it's unfamiliar ground, and you don't know how to be that, because there's a loss of that which you were familiar with. That was the fuzzy warm, known place to now step into the unknown, being like, okay, who am I here? How do I do this? Because, it's a place that is quite unfamiliar, and growth is unfamiliar. And when it comes to other people, it's something that we need to learn how to catch ourselves when we have not allowed ourselves to grow with the people that we are working with. And all of a sudden they talk different, they're pursuing different things. They've learned a new language because where they are, they need to know other ways of communication, and that place have people who are in a particular way. So they've started to learn that. They've started to gain the skills that they need for that place. And if we do not allow ourselves to grow, at a pace that we're okay to be uncomfortable but still keep going, we can look at them and be like, I do not recognize you anymore. And that happens in life. And that's why we have friends who are, some of them are seasonal. You were in that season. And because you're in that season, you identified with them. Like, frequency-wise, you were in the same place. But now you hear a call that says, come up higher. Assume a different version of you. And you go up higher. And if you're working with somebody who there's still in a bit of hesitation as to if they're going to, assume a different version of themselves, as much as, there's growth and healing and wholeness and self-development, and knowing that, we're here for more. We're here for more. You deserve much more. And, for I know, going back to that verse, for I know the plans that I have for you. And there's that place of knowing and being like, yeah, there is more for me. There's more for me, and there's more to me than this. And you step into that. And if you are working with somebody who is not saying yes to that part of themselves, which looks very different, then it comes to a place where, you look at people who are saying yes, who are growing, and it can become intimidating. And if you are not aware of that, if you're not aware of that conflict that is going on inside of you, and recognizing that actually, I should take this as an invitation that I too need to go on a journey. I too need to say yes to my unfamiliar places, so that then I can assume that new role or new character that I need to be, because of the demands of where I'm going. As we pray that God enlarge my capacity, enlarge my territory. It looks like that, and it's okay. It's okay. We don't need to gossip about them. We don't need to say, oh, they've changed, or maybe, oh, they become proud. That is something that is a bad narrative, but it has been going on for a long time, where, you look at people and you think, oh yeah, they no longer have time for me. Now they no longer have time for me because of where they're at. Maybe it's not even about you. Actually, it's not about you, because the time that they had, now they're focusing. Their time is, they're gathering that momentum, and they're focusing on becoming, and they're evolving, and they need that time because that demands time. It's hard. It demands that time. But if we are busy doing the same thing for us, we'll begin to honor our time, and even the time for others. We'll begin to see it in a very different way. And yeah, and I think it's I'm just gonna read some of the things I've been writing for me, because even as I speak, I'm actually speaking to myself, and I've just been writing down and journaling in this. And one of the things that I've been telling myself is I'm allowed to outgrow versions of myself that no longer fit. Just like, that character for me in that episode, they're allowed to outgrow the version I've created of them. All these other new versions, they're allowed to do that. They're allowed to be that. And whether I believe it or not, actually, what I think about them doesn't matter at all. Actually, it doesn't. They don't even know I'm thinking of that. And think of that for yourself as well. You're allowed to outgrow. You're allowed to evolve. And not think about what other people would think of you or of me. Because either that character, there's somebody out there called Anne who would not like me acting this. So I need to act small. I need to continue gravitating on the old self that I was, because it's going to make unhappy. Jeez. They will do themselves a disservice. And that is not going to help me either. It is just going to stroke my ego. And then what? Nothing. And just think about that in your life, the places that you need to go, and sometimes feeling like, will these people approve of this? And vice versa. Because then you realize, actually, I don't care what they think. I need to do this for me. And I'm just going to read something that I've written in regards to this. I've written more, but I'm just going to read a very short part of it. And hopefully I'll be able to create a more of a workbook for it, for those who would love to just work on this, on themselves, as I am. You're allowed to change too. Let your mind bring forward a version of you that is trying to merge or to emerge. She may feel unfamiliar. He may feel distant, but they are already within you. This season calls for something new. This season then calls for someone new, not someone better, just someone truer. Let go of the role others have written of you. Let go of the version you've been defending. I have been defending a few. Even if you loved it, even if it kept you safe. I'm allowed to outgrow versions of myself that no longer fit. Maybe remind yourself that I am allowed to outgrow versions of myself that no longer fit. I am not betraying my past. I'm honoring my evolution. You're not betraying your past. You're honoring your evolution. So go evolve. Go and be. Much love.